episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
Well, hello there,
Good
broads.
morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
How are you?
I am excited.
I'm excited too.
I'm excited about our guest today because you told me a hot minute ago, you're like, she follows me. And I'm like, we need to get her in the podcast studio because I want to have a great conversation.
You know what was cool is I posted on my Instagram. I was like, what questions would you have for someone who's like in the adult entertainment industry and who's a mom? And it was so funny because everybody was like, oh my God, is it Lena the plug?
Yes.
And it is. Like, everyone was DMing. So hi, welcome.
So I just want to say that when you first DM'd me, I hadn't opened it yet. I could just see like the first couple lines of it. And I'm like, oh my God, she's inviting me to Frank's birthday party. This is so cool. I straight up thought you were just inviting me to his birthday because I know he's going to be too soon. And then I opened it. I was like, oh, she wants me to come on the podcast. That's like, no offense, that's kind of cooler. And yeah, last night you had posted that and my future sister-in-law texted me. She's like, are you going on Becca's?
yes.
Yes, I am.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's all I have to say to that.
Yeah, no, everyone was so excited. And actually, we've been getting requests for a really long time to have you on the podcast. So you should know that.
yeah.
You have your adoring fans.
A long time. It's typically whenever we do a roundup, like, who do you want to hear on the podcast?
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
I am curious why I feel like you have maybe it's because you did YouTube, but or do YouTube. I feel like you have a really big female fan base.
Mm-hmm.
I do. And I feel like a lot of them do come from YouTube. Like I feel like it's like 60-40. It was almost 100% male for a really long time.
Sure.
And I think like through vlogging and just like being around other female influencers who have a female audience, I got more women focusing on me, I guess. And then obviously like having a baby and then talking about being pregnant, I think that, you know, women are interested in that. So then they're like gathered towards my side.
Yeah, because you have a lot of girl fans. It's cool. And they seem like really supportive of you too.
Yeah, they're the most vocal. So I feel like I do have maybe a little bit more male audience, but they don't comment as much. They don't care. So there's like more behind the scenes. But
okay, so how would you describe, by the way, how do you describe your own career? Do you say I'm a porn star?
I feel like I thought about this so much more when I first started because OnlyFans wasn't even a thing. And
Right.
so it was like I was selling nudes on Snapchat.
Yeah, we'll get into all of this.
So, but like now that I've been doing this for almost 6 years, I don't even like to go like platform based. Like I'm sure a lot of SoundCloud rappers hate being called like SoundCloud rappers because they're just rappers, right?
Yeah.
I would just say that I'm an adult content creator.
Which encompasses the whole gamut, because now you and Adam, your almost husband, right?
Yeah, I guess we're gonna get married.
When are you guys getting married?
Well, I'm motivated to get married now because I'm like, I want to get pregnant again at some point. So now I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get married like this year so that I can be pregnant next year. So sometime this year we'll be getting married.
I'm literally going through the same thing where I'm like, okay, we want to have more kids. Do we want to get the wedding done before we do that?
Or after.
Because I want to space them apart.
Yeah.
Like I want, there's all that time. You know how it is. You have all that time healing and stuff. So I'm like, how do you time that? But then also, I guess people are saying vendors are super expensive this year and next year because so many people are doing
like
post-COVID.
catch-up weddings. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
that makes sense. Oh, they know they can charge triple
So a lot
because
of people-
everyone's getting those COVID weddings.
Exactly.
in.
So a lot of people are like, that's so expensive. So I'm like, do we just wait till 2024 or something? But then
I've seen you DIY things really well. I feel like you can get your little army together and you can throw a really nice wedding because I saw your kids' birthday parties. They looked very cute.
You might have to get an invite for Frank's because I said I wasn't going to do anything. And then this past week, I am going a little nuts.
You can't resist.
It's
You
fun.
can't
It's like an art
resist.
project.
It's so fun.
It's just fun. I mean,
They
they
are
don't care, but we
little.
fucking care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jess knows. I was like, do we have a full old-fashioned marionette puppet show? Do we need to do that? Is it going to scare him? Probably.
Is he going to be scared, you think?
Maybe. I
Will
don't know.
he be terrified
Does he
by the
want
old
Moana
marionettes?
there? Yes, he does
Oh my God,
want
so
Moana
cute.
there. But
Ruth's reaction to her balloons. I think I watched that with my partner like 3 or 4
that
times.
was really,
It's worth
really
it. Just for that
cute.
one moment. It was so worth
She
it.
was
It
just
is.
beaming.
It was pretty
so
much.
We're going to
sweet.
not talk about porn. We're going to talk about your kids the whole
yeah.
time because that's what I care about.
Okay, so anyway, so you guys are getting married probably sooner than later, so you can have a baby.
Yeah, so I can
after.
have another baby.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd probably just wear the ring for like 3 or 4 years and be like, oh, we'll get married someday.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, did you guys plan Parker?
Yes, we did. We planned Parker. We tried to get pregnant. It happened. I was like, I knew exactly when I was pregnant, before I missed my period because we really wanted her.
Okay. We'll back up even further. Like you said, you're an adult content creator, which I think encompasses everything because you and Adam are now doing like a podcast.
A porn podcast where we actually have sex with the guests after we interviewed them, which I know is so bizarre.
No, it's such a good concept.
Seriously,
It's like
oh my God.
a marriage of our two,
Fields.
worlds and fields. So
Yeah, because he is huge in the podcast world.
yeah,
like
he's just very good at it.
No Jumper, in case you guys don't. That's what it. Yeah,
That's his channel.
And then you've been doing your adult content for a while, and also YouTube, and Instagram, and like because you're also like a mom influencer now.
Yeah, it's so weird. I made that page originally just because I had like a bigger page that got deleted almost a year ago. It was like 3.5 million people, and I was very particular about what I posted, and I only post things that I thought would get like a lot of engagement, and they were super sexual, and I was just like, oh, I kind of just want to be like a regular person and post pictures of my cat.
Yeah.
And so I made a separate account, and then that ended up turning into the mom page, but so I'm glad I made it.
Yeah.
But
so anyway, you've been dipping your toes in a bunch of different fields.
Yeah.
But okay, I want to back up even further because I think what people are always so curious about is like, what was your upbringing? What
drove me to this dark place?
Yes. Yes. Because as you can see now, you're just in the pit of like despair and sin. So
I mean, I feel like people are going to hear this story and be like, I did not expect that is how it happened. I mean, I went to Glendale High. I was in student government. I was like obsessed with I was like most spirited, just loved, I don't know. I loved school so fucking much. I know that's so weird. Like no one really likes going to school, but I did. Like my mom used to threaten me being like, you're not going to go to school today.
That's the consequence.
Yeah, that was my consequence. Okay. And I'd get so upset. But after high school, I went to college at UC Santa Cruz. I got a psych degree, did super well there. Loved it. And then I came back to LA and I took my GRE and applied for grad school and got into USC and was like, okay, you have a lot of fucking debt. This program costs a lot of money. You don't actually know if this is what you want to do or if you're just sort of following the steps in this linear way that everyone has told you. Like, this is the right way to do this, And so that was when I kind of like, was like, okay, this is probably like, even though everyone in my family was like looking to me because I was the first person in my family to graduate college, like this, they weren't born here. They're like came here and they're expecting a much better life for me. And I probably let them down in some ways. But yeah, I like didn't do that. I decided to just like nanny. I used to work with kids who have autism. So I just like worked with a family with kids who had autism. I was like a good person, a regular, like, stand-up woman, I guess.
Stand-up citizen.
Citizen, citizen. I've never broken the law. Like I've always I like follow the rules too much. Like I annoy myself, And Adam has such a problem with it because he's obviously like been a rule breaker his whole life. He's like, you're the only one who's thinking about the speed limit right now. I'm like, no. But yeah, I just like started interning at this social media startup kind of place because I just wanted something different. They paid me way less than all my nanny jobs did. But I just wanted to be able to like grow in what I was doing and actually talk to people my age. I was like,
yeah, that's the hardest thing about nannying. You're like, I don't have any peers or community just in my
There's
job.
like very little stimulation going on. So I started working for this company and we would like basically help girls grow on social media. And through doing that, I kind of like figured out how to grow my own social media a little bit.
What year was this?
This was like 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. So 2016. And I think it like gathered like maybe 25,000 to 50,000 followers on Instagram at the time. And that was on the private. Honestly, I feel like it was all the Explorer page. Like the Explorer page was a lot easier to grow on. I didn't have any sort of special photos. I didn't know anything about lighting, outfits. I do not want to know what those photos look like.
Was it just cute photos of you?
It was me in my like bikini, just like in a mirror, a selfie, a regular selfie. But I remember going to post that first picture being like, oh my God, all my aunties follow me. Like, what are they going to think?
Right.
But I got into porn because my fans were asking me if I was selling any nude photos. It wasn't because I was like, oh, I really want to get into the porn industry, But for me, the appealing thing was like, okay, I'm working for this company 12-hour days sometimes, making $10 an hour when I have a degree. And it's become like apparent to me that there's a formula here that if I just decide to do this with the amount of followers that I have right now and how much I can charge, I could be making way more money and spending way less time working for someone else. So that was the appeal for me, was the freedom with my time.
Yeah.
And the first month that I decided to do the premium Snapchat thing, I made like $35,000.
How did you do it? Did people have to Venmo you? Like,
no,
how did that work?
I had met like, there's all these like weird, like, I don't know, porn pimpy type guys who will like have websites. And back then, all the websites who would process your premium Snapchat payments were taking 50% from the girls. Wow. And I was like,
that's a lot.
No. And so one of the guys who had reached out to me, I was like, hey, like you can build me a site and I'll give you like 20%, but I'm not giving you 50%. And he kind of just like saw that I was like down and that I was probably gonna be like successful and that I cared. So we did that. And that's like how I made most of my money for until maybe 2018 before I really got into OnlyFans. I forgot what I was going to say. But
OnlyFans, I mean, you were basically doing OnlyFans before OnlyFans though. Before OnlyFans was like a thing because you had your own because you had like your own page that you were regulating like your own content through.
I was so happy that when OnlyFans came out though, because just the way that the platform of Snapchat is where you have to upload every day. I was like, and then waiting for the snaps to load. I mean, you're doing like 1 minute clips at a time. It's not ideal. And you have to like manually add every member and then see who canceled that month and then go and remove their name. I mean, it is like, it's not fun. But so yeah, I was just like really grateful for OnlyFans. But that's really what I did. I mean, my first month I made all that money and I was just like, there's no way that this is real. And there's no way it's going to last even 6 months. Like I didn't think I'd be in my 6th year of doing it now.
That's
it's
cool,
kind of
though.
crazy. And every year has just been like bigger and better. And I was able to do it while I was pregnant and able to like not lose any of my income and then, just get right back in it. I feel very grateful.
Okay, so I want to rewind and slow down to some of it because I watched a video where you talked about like growing up, you were in a really conservative family, like conservative, traditional, Christian, Armenian family.
Yeah, I wanted to ask that too because we both grew up super conservative. I'm like, on my side, I know my parents, it was like, premarital sex? Absolutely not. So I'm curious. I mean,
sex was not even like a conversation, but I do remember like I was not allowed to watch MTV. Yeah. And I've gone in trouble because I would like watch Boy Meets World and they'd be like Topanga and Corey would kiss and my dad would be so pissed for me watching that. It was like, we just didn't talk about it. The idea of having a boyfriend, no way. And I remember when I went to college, my dad called me when I was there. I had just moved into my dorm and he was just like talking to me, normal conversation. And then before he hung up, he just goes, no hanky panky, bye. I was like, wow, that is the extent of our birds and bees conversation for my 18 years of life. That we didn't talk about it. No.
Okay, broads, quick pause. I literally cannot believe school is out in less than a month. Where did the time go? Anyway, the fact that the school year is winding down means I am on a mission to find activities to keep my daughter entertained, learning, and most importantly, having a ton of fun over the summer months. My go-to for this is KiwiCo's age-specific learning crate that delivers monthly science and art projects that cater to your child's curiosity and spark a love of learning that lasts a lifetime.
Oh my gosh, we love KiwiCo. So they help kids learn and process complex ideas through objects and principles that they're already familiar with, like exploring the science of cooking or learning about geography and customs from new cultures. Everything is taught through really, really fun hands-on projects that will keep your kiddo engaged and also helps them learn in a way that makes sense to them. And parents, KiwiCo has you taken care of too, because when your child's monthly crate is delivered, everything you need for each project is included in the box. You don't have to go digging through drawers for tape or construction paper. We know how that is. It means you and your little one have more time to learn and play together. So it's great.
Honestly, I could not love KiwiCo more, broads. In fact, Ember and I were having a conversation about KiwiCo like 2 days ago. She brought up, she's like, when's my next crate coming? KiwiCo is my most favorite. We love KiwiCo in this house. And I think as a parent, one of the best feelings is watching your kids gain independence and confidence. And let me tell you, the confidence Ember gets from completing a crate all on her own, absolutely priceless.
Step into spring and celebrate the season of discovery with a KiwiCo subscription. Get 30% off your first month plus free shipping on any crate line. It's a pretty good pretty good price. And they have crates for literally all ages, you guys. All ages, like from baby all the way up to adult. So anyway, use code chatty at kiwico.com. 30% off your first month at kiwico.com, promo code chatty.
So something I've recently come to discover about myself is that when it comes to working out, I like to take a very non-committal approach to things. You know, there are those people that are signed up for their classes like a month ahead of time to get into their favorite studio with their favorite instructor. Yeah, it's just not me. I like to keep my options open, aka maybe mama's just, not quite as organized. But here's the thing, what if one day I wake up and I feel like doing a 45-minute class and then the next day I only have 15 minutes? Or one day I feel like yoga, but the next day I wake up and decide I must do a boxing class. The Peloton app lets me keep my workouts as flexible as my life is. And for that reason, it's the best. It's my fave.
Oh my goodness. I have been using the Peloton app for years. It's like having your own personal trainer for any style of movement you want to do. And it's always at your disposal, any time of day or night. There are thousands of live and on-demand classes, literally every activity you could ever want to do. I love their yoga classes. I love their guided runs. I love their treadmill guided walks and hikes and runs. The first guided run I was talking about, which I've talked about before, is they have audio only guided runs for when you're running outside. I love that. Anyway, they have everything. I could go on and on. I'm already ranting. They've also got HIIT classes. I've been doing that a little bit lately too. The thing I love most is that it doesn't matter if you're an expert or if you've, never tried something before. Also, the time of day, you can get in a little 10-minute arm workout while your kid is napping. You can do an hour and a half long workout after the kids go to sleep. I'm just speaking from my own experience. Okay. You always finish feeling good too, and you always get a good sweat in. It's inevitable, both those things, because the trainers are amazing, all of that. Okay, that was really quite a ramble fest, but trust me, I love Peloton, could not recommend it more.
And it is no surprise that if workouts fit seamlessly into our lives, we're more likely to stick to them, right? Again, that's something that I'm really starting to realize about myself. And Peloton lets you work out in a way that works with your schedule.
Right now is the perfect time to try out the Peloton bike or the Peloton app. The Peloton bike is actually now $500 less. It's the best price it's literally ever been. You can also get free delivery and setup. There are a lot more game-changing prices available on the original Peloton bike and the Peloton tread. Visit onepeloton.com to learn more. onepeloton.com.
Okay, so that, and then when you went to, so were you sexually active in high school?
Yeah, I lost my virginity to my first boyfriend when I was 16. Okay. And then had a couple other boyfriends after that. And then I went to college and I was I kind of just want to chill and not have a lot of crazy sex. And then I had a girlfriend for the whole time I was in college.
Yeah.
So I didn't have sex with any guys, after my first few months as a freshman. And then after we broke up, I would say I got my little hoe phase out.
Right.
Did my little slutty one night stand thing in LA.
Well, so, okay, did you know that you were bi growing up, or was that kind of something that you never even really thought about until you got into this relationship? Because I'm doing my little research. So I was you were guys were
I was
friends,
always open-minded. I think I had kissed girls during Spin the Bottle and things like that. Right. And then with my ex-girlfriend, it was we were best friends who were very close. And I mean, when you go to college together and you live in the same dorm house or whatever, you're just sharing the bed, you're sharing everything. You're so up in each other's space. And we were just kind of I think we had gotten drunk and kissed, and then was oh, we really liked that more than we thought we would have. And then our relationship really evolved.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So then after college, then you're in the job, then you decided to transition fully into, when did you take that leap when you're I'm gonna do this full time and quit my job? And do you remember that moment being big for you?
I was so fed up with what I was doing, and I think I just booked the flight to New York and was I'm gonna do this. I went into New York and I met the guy who built my website, and it was a big deal for me. Yeah, I remember just being so pissed off about what I had to do on a day-to-day, and I didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the things that the company would say to me. And back then we would work with model influencer types, but they were always kind of like shady about or had shade towards the girls who before me were doing the private Snapchat stuff. And like we wouldn't put them on the Instagram and we wouldn't promote them. And I just thought it was so backwards. And so I was really over it. And at that point I was like, okay, fuck it. I'm just going to do and be the thing that they hate. And they're like kind of, you know, ignoring.
Yeah, they're probably kind of jealous too.
I think that they now do OnlyFans agency type stuff. So
really?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's trying to figure out how they can monetize on other girls doing OnlyFans.
Right.
You know?
Because that's the thing now.
There's a lot of money in it. And it's like when you have an Instagram and you're promoting models, like their goal is to get brands who are down to be marketed. Like they want to find like the Bang energies of the world, you know, and that's how they're going to make their income. But like there's a lot more income in just selling yourself as the product, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's why like I don't have to worry about brand partnerships. Like it's nice when I get one that is down to work for me, with me, even though I have, you know, like my 18+ job, but you know, I can just rely on myself.
Yes. How do you feel? I mean, I personally feel, and you would have more to say about this, but it seems like there's been so much more acceptance in the last couple years about doing porn, about putting your body out there like for money online. And do you feel any kind of like, one, have you noticed that? And two, if so, do you feel sort of salty about like, wow, now like some of you people who were like hating on girls who did this are now you're doing the same thing?
I don't feel salty. I mean, well, how should I say this? I guess if a girl was previously hating on it and then does it now and makes money off of it, that's kind of annoying. But there are like things about it that I don't like, such as, you know, not being honest with your fans about the kind of content that you're selling. That's one. And two, the other thing that pisses me off is that like the Tana Mojos and the Corinna Kops and these girls who are like very well known as influencers.
Right. The Bella Thornes.
Yeah. Like their Instagrams do not get deleted.
Right.
Because they are not seen in that way. And yeah, granted, they might only be posting like boob pictures on their OnlyFans and they're not actually having sex. Like you don't know that when you go to delete my Instagram. So that's the kind of stuff that bothers me, is that the way people get treated, even though we all have OnlyFans and they're linking their OnlyFans and the porn girls aren't linking their OnlyFans. You know, it's like the rules are not the same for everyone.
Right. And I've seen that with both your page and Riley Reid's pages of like, and you're following the rules and guidelines that, I mean, and they're ambiguous, right? Like it's up to interpretation, but you're seeing that these other influencers are posting the similar kinds of bikini shots, you know, thong shots, whatever, cleavage shots. It's like, okay, well, I'm following the rules because I'm seeing these other people not get their stuff deleted. Why is my page getting deleted?
Yeah, and it's like, it's on every platform. So I'm kind of like, I still get mad about it, but I'm just so used to it at this point. You know, I don't make money on YouTube. I've just been flagged enough on YouTube for my content that like my CPM and everything is just very, very low. My TikTok, I think got deleted as part of like a sweep maybe because I had no violations. You know, I had so much content that was of me and Parker. So I'm like, you know, but there's no one you can talk to because they do not care. No. You know, they're like, you do porn, we don't care about you.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah.
So, and they deny that shadow banning exists on their platforms. They just like, they have their language in such a way where they're like, you know, they have legal freedom, basically.
Keep things ambiguous.
Yes, exactly.
And do things at their discretion. And it must come down to like someone on Instagram's, or, you know, that works for Facebook or Meta, their individual discretion, who must recognize you as, right? Like,
well, I think the way that it works is that like you have to get a certain amount of reports before you get like a flag.
Sure.
And so if you look at, I have like 3 different Instagrams now since my main page got deleted. But for 2 of them, I have photos of, one is a photo of a heart and one is a photo of the concrete, because you cannot get deleted for impersonation if your default photo is not of your face. So I'm like, because I got deleted for impersonation. So at this point, I'm like, what? I am just being targeted.
So wild. Yeah.
Because it's like the violation is not about the content I'm posting. So I'm like scared to even talk about it because I'm like, is this going to bring on more reports for me?
Sure.
But yeah, it's like, it's crazy.
Because I do know when content gets flagged, you know, an actual person has to review the flag. So then that makes me wonder, like, does that actual individual
like think the content is bad.
Or like knows who you are and then is like, oh, that's a porn star. No.
Yeah, maybe. And it's like the crazy thing now is that Adam and I have this OnlyFans podcast. And so we get the same set of photos sent to us to promote when an episode drops. He can post the photos. Wow. I cannot post the photos.
Whoa.
If I share his photo on my story, I get it deleted on my story, but it exists on his page. And I'm not trying to say like he should be reported, but it's just like, we're treated very differently for the same exact thing. And I mean, you see it with like everyone.
Yeah, you see a lot of times where the photographer will get to keep the photo up, but then the model gets their photo deleted. Or like I've reposted a photo from that a photographer posted and then my story got a violation, but then the post is still up. And, you're I'm like,
And I believe they know that these problems exist on their platforms, but they just don't know how to address them. Like, what is the best way to address these issues?
Well, what's the solution?
In their defense, like, what is the solution?
I don't know.
But they have to figure out something.
I'm
like,
please figure it out.
Okay, did that affect your business significantly? Having your Instagram deleted, would you say? I was curious about that.
It's hard to say quantitatively because like there was such a huge spike in the income for during quarantine, like in an outrageous way. And it was like, I was pregnant when that was happening. And so I was like, oh, is this happening because I'm pregnant? Like, am I getting all these like fetish people? But no, I think it was just like all across the board. Numbers were way up. Everyone was inside and everyone was watching porn and entertainment was up.
Bored and at home.
You know?
Yeah.
So there was like a dip, but it was also a dip in the same time that everyone was leaving their houses and the stimulus checks ran out and things like that. Whether or not I have my Instagram, I'm financially like I'm okay because I have, you know, a certain amount of subscribers and stuff. But I feel bad for the smaller creators where that is everything to them. Like their 10,000 or 15,000 followers or whatever they have on Instagram or social media. Like that is the difference between whether or not they can pay their rent.
Yeah, that is wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you meet Adam and when did you guys get together?
So I met him when I was still working at the other company and I was like looking at his life. I'm like, okay, he's a YouTuber. He wakes up and he does whatever the hell he wants, which is having 50 tabs of different YouTube videos open and watching them one by one. And I was like presenting him with this private Snapchat thing. I was like, look, like I can make this much money in my first month if I decide to do this, like, you know. And he was just like, yeah, what the fuck? Just do it. What are you waiting for kind of thing. And he'd already dated like porn stars and, you know, wasn't afraid of like the stripper scene or whatever. He's, you know, he's like a little grungy dude. But yeah, so I guess I just needed that little push from him to do it. And back then when I did start doing the private Snapchat, I was literally taking pictures of my boobs in the shower. Like it wasn't anything serious.
Yeah.
Now
but that's why people liked it though too, right? It's like, I remember the private Snapchat thing. It seemed like there was appeal because it was a
very
peek
personal,
into your intimate
it's like
world.
very sneaky, you know, and you are taking like individual pictures for someone and sending it to them on Snapchat. It feels like,
they're like, this is my girlfriend.
exactly. Very girlfriend experience.
We're in a relationship. Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, I interrupted you. So you're saying.
Fine. So that was like 2016. Yeah, that was when I left. And then he was like, this is before what, you know, YouTubers would call the adpocalypse on YouTube. He was like, we're going to make you a YouTuber. Like, you're hot. You can do this. And he was like, I'm going to manage you. I'm going to help you out. And then, you know, we figured out that that's not actually going to work because you can't always make money if you're a hot girl on YouTube. But like, he tried to kind of lie in the beginning of our relationship and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to manage you. But like, it was his low key way of saying like, I'm down for this sort of situation. And God, I can't believe it's been like 6 years with him now too. But yeah, just he like encouraged me to do the YouTube thing and vlog. And I actually had a lot of fun with it because I used to write a lot and I don't write anymore. But when I was vlogging, it kind of felt like what I was getting from writing is like processing my thoughts and kind of like, you know, I didn't care who was listening or what they were thinking about what I was saying, but it was just the act of doing it that was really nice. And I would never want to go back and see any of them because I know I've like cried and looked terrible and, you know. But I'm kind of glad that I did that.
Yeah.
It also helped me become really comfortable on camera.
Right.
Yep. Which then leads me to my next question, which is at what point, because now you're doing it all on OnlyFans, right? You're doing, I mean, well, not doing it all, but I mean, like you're doing scenes with you and Adam, doing threesome scenes, doing scenes with girls. So like at what point did you make this transition from just doing little solo shots and like you said, pics of your boobs in the shower to being like, okay, let's do more like traditional like porn content. And like, I'm interested in that trend, and also like having your relationship, the sex from your relationship be also part of the content that you're selling.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it was like me and him would be playing around and he would like film me because it was fun. And then I'd be like, oh, I can use this. Like, that's cool.
Right.
And we used to like go out and just have spontaneous threesomes all the time anyways. We were kind of like always down. And then we ended up having a threesome with a girl who also did private Snapchat. So we were like, after we had already started, it was like, oh, we should film this. Oh, we should sell this. And then I was like, I just made like 20 grand last night. And I didn't realize like that was a thing that I could,
Collabs.
make better content and make more money. And now it's just like the standard because, there's more people doing it. It's more competitive. Like your content should be good. But it sort of just happened in that way. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I can really monetize this aspect
People want to see
of
this.
my life.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you started, when was that? Do you know?
That was like 2017 probably. And I guess I didn't like do it more often because there was just like less people who were doing it that I was aware of, because a lot of the girls who did private Snapchat, like they were just doing solo content. It was just them dancing around in a bikini, masturbating, whatever. But now, when I go on Twitter, I have like almost everyone muted. I'm sorry, guys. Otherwise, my whole feed is just porn. But like everyone is doing like collaborations in the same way that like you guys might collaborate with another podcast.
Mm-hmm. That's the way to grow your following and all of that kind of thing. Same idea. I think that's so interesting. And did your parents know, when did they start knowing?
I'm curious about the fam.
My mom figured it out like right away. And my mom is just like a very anxious, fearful person of everything. She was like, he's gonna break your heart. Like everything was like a worry to her. Whereas like, why worry about my heart being broken? Like there's a big chance my heart will be broken in my life. Yeah.
You're like, it's likely to happen just in general.
Yeah. And then I think her thinking was like, oh my God, this is bad. You're gonna become a drug addicted person and you're gonna die under a bridge somewhere. Yeah. But there's Kim Kardashian and she, look at her, like it didn't hurt her career. And so she would kind of flip flop back and forth. And I think now she's definitely like come to terms with it. And we don't talk about where I'm going when I leave the house so that she can watch the kid. It's just kind of like, I've worked today is all I say.
Right.
Yeah. And she'll always say like, your makeup looks really pretty, your outfit looks really pretty, but we don't talk about anything more than that. With my dad, I have really no clue what he knows at this point, because we just don't talk about it. There was like a period of time, maybe 6 months, where he didn't talk to me. And as far as I knew, he was just upset that I had even an Instagram. And he heard I was doing bad stuff on YouTube, which is like, if you think I'm doing bad stuff on YouTube and YouTube's terms of service don't allow anything that's actually, XXX, like, well then, how would you feel about what I am actually doing?
Right.
And I do think if he knew, like he would find comfort in the fact that Adam is my only male partner and yada, yada, yada. But we just don't talk about it.
Is he just kind of older too, where he's like, you're on the YouTube and you're doing bad things on the
my
YouTube?
Family, it's like, I think I've heard my dad say like, oh no, don't tell the therapist anything. Like sharing your personal private information.
You just don't.
You just don't. And I've always been an oversharer. Like I just don't care. I'll talk about what happened to the bathroom this morning. Like I just share with everyone things that people don't want to know. But with my family,
that's good when you're a social media content creator.
Like, fuck it, everyone can know my business. People are watching me to know my business, you know? But so that's like the kind of thinking that he's coming with is like, you don't tell it. Like, I don't know. I think with my family, they think that we live in like a town square where everyone's just walking around Bridgerton style and just like whispering about everyone all the time.
Yeah.
Did you see? And like, I don't really feel like it's like that, Like when my parents have said to me in the past, like, you really embarrassed us. I'm like, who's us? Like, what's going on? Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
But I think it's just like the general Armenian community, which...
Yeah. I think it's good to put yourself out there, because then what can people gossip about if all your business is already out there?
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I still, though, when I go to like a bank, I try to avoid the teller with the Armenian name, because I just like, I just don't. I don't know. Maybe they instilled that in me where I'm like, oh, I don't know. I feel like you're my grandma. I feel like you're my auntie. So like, let me try to find someone else to talk to because they're gonna want to know what I do for a living. And
why you make it so
nosy sometimes.
You're so wealthy. What do you do?
Straight up, and I'm just like, I married a rich guy. Like, I just fucking lie. I'm a dentist. I have come up with tons of stories.
The banker is nosy.
They are. The last time I was at the bank, like I was like cashing a specific check, and like they were asking, I'm like, am I obligated to tell you what?
Can I have my money? Can you not just like? I know
like,
they're really, and I think part of it is like they want to know, so that maybe they can leave their bank job and figure out what you're doing. But I'm just like, the good thing about OnlyFans being really popular now is with a teller who asked me last time, I was just like OnlyFans, and that's all I had to say, and he didn't ask any questions. He kind of just knew,
right?
Like, all right. Okay, that's why.
He's like, I'll be looking you up later.
Yeah,
probably. Exactly. He's like, take note of the name.
I hope he subscribes. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, actually, on that note too. So with your parents, actually, no, this is related to money. With your parents, like, it was never like, oh, how can you afford to buy 2 houses? Is that just kind of something where like, because I know sometimes my parents are like, I'm not even going to ask. I don't even want to know.
They don't want to worry, so they just don't ask you.
I just don't want to know. Or like, I don't want to know something that might hurt me or might make me uncomfortable.
I mean, I think too, when I was buying my house, the first house we got, my family never lived in a house that we owned ever. You know, we've always just rented my whole life. So I think like they were proud of the fact that I was going to be buying property. But my dad is really great in that he's never tried to be super nosy. He just like parents from afar and like lets me do my thing. Yeah. He's just like, I just hope you've crunched the numbers and this is okay for you. Like, but without saying like, it's never condescending. It's just very nice. It's very casual. And I mean, I love that I have him because God, you move into a house and all of a sudden you're supposed to know all kinds of shit. Like you're supposed to have a plumber and you're supposed to have a landscaper and you're supposed to know how to tell them what you want about landscaping. And my family will come over and they'll just be like, your bushes look really bad. And I'm like, I just never fucking noticed my bushes look bad. Like I'm supposed to have an opinion about bushes. I'm a fraud. I don't get it.
You're like, I know about bushes, but not about bushes.
No, yeah,
okay.
I don't like there's nothing else. No, when my family will come over, they're like, your house is in shambles. I'm like, I don't know how to do any of this. Okay.
Yeah. The landscaping is relatable. We killed like our front yard and backyard within our first 6 months living in our house.
You didn't do it on purpose?
Like, no, it was just like, I didn't even know who the landscaper was or that I was supposed to like pay him this way. Like no one even told me. Like
him.
No, they don't tell you anything. And like my dad's an electrician, so I'll always call him with like, is this right? Are they lying to me? And he got so pissed because this guy fucking charged me $2,000 for something. And he was like, how long was he there? And I was like, 2 hours. He was like, you need to ask him how long I'm like, okay. He's like always mad that I'm fucking shit up. Like I'm just supposed to know these things.
I remember what I was going to say about money. I saw someone's Instagram where people were DMing them. They were bank tellers who were looking up celebrities' bank accounts. Because technically, it's very illegal. You could get fired from your job from doing that. But you could, as a bank teller, if they bank with, let's say, Wells Fargo, they could look up Jessica Ambrose or Rebecca Martinez or Lena, what is it?
NERSESIAN, yeah. They can just look it up.
Yeah. And know what's in your bank account.
That's such a violation.
It's very, like, I would not do it. You'd risk losing your job if someone finds out, and they can look at the logs on the computer and see that someone is doing that.
My petty ass, like I wouldn't ever even look up celebrities. I'd be looking up like my enemy in high school. I'd be like, what's she up to now?
-$5 in her account. Good.
Yeah, it's just like all the people
gotta hit her with an overdraft fee.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Got her, bitch.
Yeah,
no, I thought that was crazy though, where like I've never even thought about how someone at the bank could
that's bananas.
Know who you are. And
I always think about how Pornhub could probably figure out what celebrities are into what if they really wanted to somehow track their accounts or their computers. It was like, what are their fetishes?
Wow.
I feel like everybody uses Pornhub, so
sure.
Gotta be like big time celebrities having very specific searches.
Well, so we had people on our podcast who are podcasters, and their podcast is produced by an AI. It's the first podcast ever produced by an AI, and it has total access to their computers and phones. And like, it's done crazy things where they'll be talking like, oh, I was listening to our episode last week. And then the AI will pull up a video that was recorded from the camera of him like eating chips and his dog licking his head while he's watching their episode on YouTube.
What?
And so anyway, I was just thinking like AI would be able to like know your dream girl or your
Everything.
based on
Oh my God.
based on
So
all
scary.
of your porn searches.
Yeah, this is freaking me out.
Yikes.
crazy.
I'm like, I'm gonna go clear all my stuff right now.
Okay.
Lord.
Yeah, moving away from the money and the scary AI conversation, like I am interested, how did doing porn and showing your body, like did that, you suddenly I'm assuming are getting like feedback on your body in a very specific way. Did you ever start getting like messages, comments, whatever that started making you like question your body image? And I was also read somewhere or listened to something where you're saying like when you went to UC Santa Cruz, you were like, I had discovered like feminism for the first time. So you're I wasn't shaving. I was like, fuck the patriarchy,
those
fuck
days
the
so bad.
standards. And then now you're kind of on the flip side of it where, I mean, it just is what it is. I do it when I get ready for the podcast too. You're like prepping yourself for the male gaze. So to speak.
I mean, I didn't own like foundation until maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I just like always wore my Maybelline mascara, the pink bottle, you know, and that was pretty much it. And, you know, once you start doing certain things, you kind of feel like you always have to keep up with it, you know? But I guess I'm super black and white because I just wish I could go back to the complete opposite way, having my armpit hair super long. I mean, it helped that I had a girlfriend and I was in Santa Cruz, like in the fucking redwood forest. I was very accepted over there. But I would say that I always kind of had body image issues even before I started doing adult work and putting my body online. It definitely hasn't helped that there's always constant feedback, and then, you know, having a baby and then being postpartum. I feel like being postpartum was, and I mean, I'm still postpartum. Everyone's always postpartum once they have a kid. That was probably like the worst of it. Cause even though other people always tell me like, oh my God, you look exactly like you did before you had Parker, I am like, no, this and this and this and this. And like part of it was like, my body completely changed for a while after I had Parker. I lost my Instagram account. So I felt like there was like this identity shattering going on. And then I was met with like, I don't know how many new OnlyFans girls there were who came into the scene at the same time, who were probably like all 10 years younger than me. So I was like having this like big insecurity around that time. Like, what can I do that will make me feel like I'm really competing in a way, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like a little bit better than I did from when I first had her, but it's always a thing. But it's like I walk into a room and I'm like actually objectively the biggest girl in the room, and then the smallest girl in the room has the exact same issues, you know? She is like, oh my God, I'm huge. And it's like you have to film yourself, edit yourself, and sell yourself, and then get the feedback about yourself. So it's like, how do you avoid thinking about it?
Yeah.
You know? It's kind of sad because you're just like, what is the solution if you decide that you're gonna stay in this space? Yeah, you can get therapy and stuff, but like probably the stuff that the therapist would want you to be doing would include you not doing your job, you know?
Right. Yeah, because I was gonna say, I'm like, was there ever a moment when you were postpartum where you're like, I don't think I want to do this anymore, just because of feeling that overwhelming like sense of
definitely. And I think maybe I like jumped back into it a little too quick. Like when I look at how my body looked even 2 months postpartum, like I didn't do a lot different from there to now. My body just naturally started like changing and going back to its natural form. But I think I was trying so hard because in the past I've done things to get thinner or whatever. I was trying so hard in the very beginning to do things that my body just wasn't responding to. My body was not ready.
You're pushing yourself too much.
You know, I would like, whether I ate salad or ate chocolate, like I would weigh the same. My body was like, don't fuck with me. We know what we're doing. And this is what size you're going to be right now.
Right.
You know, so I just like had to let my body do its thing. And I think that now that I know that, I will be less stressed the next time around. Like we've done this before. It's going to be okay. You're not going to completely lose your career. No one's going to forget about you. You'll be fine.
Are there any practical ways you've set more boundaries or like limits about like not reading comments, or like is there any ways that you've kind of created to protect yourself?
Sorry to the commenters, but I don't really read the comments anymore. Like 6 years in, I'm kind of just like, some people are going to like me, some people are going to hate me. I think that one benefit that I had is that I was actually a lot bigger when I first got into this. Like I was, you know, a thicker girl and people really liked that. So had some give, I guess. But yeah, I don't really read the comments anymore. And then for my photos, like I'll take my photos and now I will send them to someone to edit them. I don't want to look at them because then I'm going to sit there and try to make 8 different Botox appointments for the next 2 years. Like scheduling it all in advance. Like I'm not down. It's just not going to make me feel better. You know?
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. It's just like knowing yourself to know that like, I mean, I'm like, I do the same thing. I'm just zooming in. All of a sudden, if you leave me alone with my phone,
it's fun.
And my photos are my husband because my husband is really the only one who will take pictures of me. And I'll open up his photo album and all of a sudden I'm like 2 hours later, like down a spiral hole. Like you said, I'm like all the appointments made just so in my head.
I think I got like 3 or 4 different surgical consults in November and December for surgeries that I'm not going to have anytime soon. I just like really had to go talk to these doctors to see what they can do about my body. And they were like, well, do you want to get pregnant again? And I was like, yeah. They're like, then don't get a fucking breast lift. Like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, oh, you're right. Like I was just in this, there's nothing I could do. I can't, like, I want more children and I care about that way more than looking exactly how I want to look, you know?
Well, and I think that that's just what's hard. Not even, I mean, I think it's probably amplified with porn, but just with like influencing in general, you know, there's no shortage of people doing it, but there's also no shortage of fans, right? And it's like someone being, you know, I just think of the way I look at other people's pages where I'm like, oh my God, like you are doing so much of this and I wish I could be doing more of that. Yeah. Or like you're doing photos like this and I just wish I had like that same vision. But it's like they're not detracting from my audience, right? Yeah. And I feel like you probably have to think of it in those terms too, where you're like all these new girls, like, or all these thinner girls or whatever, they're not like taking away your business.
Yeah, exactly. Because like everyone's there for something different. And you know, I see the girls who are single and they're, you know, they work with everybody. And so they're pumping out a lot more content than me because they don't have a kid and they don't have like someone that they're in a committed monogamous thing with. So then they go and they work a bunch. And sometimes I'm like, I see that and I'm like, oh, I feel like I should be that productive. And it's like, no, this is what I'm doing. This is my thing. And I actually don't want to work every single day. So I'm lying to myself when I'm like sitting there and comparing myself to people, you know?
Yeah.
And I just have to like check in with myself about that.
I feel that so real. Like I'll see other influencers where I'm like, damn, they're like so good about like showing every aspect of their day. And I'm like, wait. I don't want to be talking to my camera from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. I don't want that.
Because you know that it's not actually going to make your day feel better.
No,
like at the end of the day, it doesn't make you happier. Actually, you're like, I'm a good content creator, but then what else? You know, then you're probably going to be on your phone a lot when you'd rather be paying attention to your kids. You know, and that's what like I'm really, now that I have an assistant, I'm really trying to like, I want to just delete my apps from my phone and have her just post everything for me. Yeah. So that I don't have to read the replies in my DMs. Instagram won't stop showing me shit to buy. I am like, God damn it. I spend so much time on this fucking app looking at stuff.
They got you hooked.
No, like all the shopping, all the comparison too, where you're just like, oh, all of a sudden I'm down and whatever spiral. And I'm just like, whether that be, oh, I should be posting more because this person is,
but
or
then
what
you
they
need
look
it for
like
your job.
Or whatever.
Like we all have need it for a job. You guys need to know what people are talking about.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you do that in a safe and safe for your mental health, productive way? You know?
You just have to be on top of it, I guess, every day. You have to be constantly reassessing, like, and it's like, even that alone is exhausting.
Yeah.
But I feel like the goalposts always keep moving, and you've probably experienced this too, where like, you know, I thinking about that, like, oh, if I posted like all day, every day on my stories, then maybe I get more followers. But then if I got to 1 million followers or whatever, then what's the next goalpost? There's the other influencer that has 2.5 million followers and whatever. It's like you're constantly trying to like one up yourself.
It's never
which
gonna
can
end.
get exhausting because you're like killing it on OnlyFans.
Well, and I look at you and I think like, wow, she posts so much to her stories. She has all these really beautiful aesthetic photos of her children. Like I will go like a month without posting my mom page, and I'm like, am I even a mom? Right. But it's like I'm just living my life. But you know, so I mean.
Yeah. I think, do you experience that like imposter syndrome with like in the porn industry specifically? I'm curious about that.
I feel like I experience it in both. Like I don't feel like quite like a mom influencer. I just like happen to be a mom and happen to have followers. And then also a little bit in the porn industry, I guess, because I don't know, when I came in, like I was doing the private Snapchat thing first. And then I went viral on YouTube. So it became the sell was like YouTuber does porn. but I never quite felt like super part of any of the industries, because if you ask people if I'm a YouTuber, a lot of YouTubers would say like, no, she's a porn, it's like which industry am I actually accepted in, which I mean too, I do feel accepted in the adult industry. It's not to say that, but in the beginning the private Snapchat thing was really new, and even though I was making like the same amount of money or more money than a lot of the girls doing traditional porn, I wasn't like accepted, because there's like all these things that you're supposed to accomplish and establish in porn that people are like trying to achieve, trying to work for a certain company who's like, more prestigious than another company, or like, doing your first anal, doing your first gangbang, whatever. And I like never did any of those things. And then, Fleshlight offers me a Fleshlight, which is like, you can't just get one. So then it was like that, like, oh, why are we treating this person like this? But now it's like, I think a lot of the future Fleshlight girls are going to be just OnlyFans girls, because if they already have an audience that they accrued on social media, why would they go shoot for a big company? So it's like I guess was early on the wave.
I was gonna say, you were in that interim where then people were going, why did she get it? And I, yeah.
So and now I don't think girls would remember it in that way. Yeah. Because it's just so normalized now that it's like the OnlyFans girls have taken over.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's I think a lot of people feel like it's good for creators like in the porn industry. Do you feel that way?
Oh, absolutely. When I talk to a girl who like I feel like has accrued a good enough amount of followers on social media to just do it herself, and I ask her if she wants to shoot, and she says like, I'm mostly just shooting for companies right now, I'm kind of like, well, damn, maybe she's the kind of person who really gets enjoyment for having other people watch her have sex, so maybe that's why she's there. But I just feel like you should feed your own content machine, because whatever I shoot today, I could sell for the next 10 years. But when you shoot for a producer, you get paid one time on set, and then you don't make money off of it ever again.
And you're not investing in an audience.
Yeah. I mean, they may post you on their social media, but they're not required to post you on their social media. You have to post them on your social media to promote the seam. It's like in your contract. And the rates, like, they're okay depending on how your money is on OnlyFans. But in the long run, you're going to make more just making your content for yourself and selling it on OnlyFans or whatever platform happens to be the platform next. So if I was being honest with those people, it would be like, you're good. Just like go do your thing. I mean, you can shoot for companies still here and there, but like, why would you spend all your time shooting for companies?
Do you think maybe some people just don't even want to deal with the production of like their own content? Or like,
if you're not organized and you need someone to just tell you, like, show up at this time, show up at this place, we're going to do your hair and makeup, this is what you're going to wear, then I can see that. But I don't think it's the smart move.
Okay, broads, one more quick pause. So a few weeks ago, I was desperately trying to find a piece of furniture for our house. And my God, I forgot how rough it can be, okay? After about the 10th page of scrolling through nearly identical chairs on one of those huge furniture websites, I had a headache. I was in a bad mood, and I didn't even want the chair anymore, okay? I was ready to give up that easily, right? Then I remembered that the perfect solution for furniture shopping already exists, and that is Article.
Oh my gosh, Article makes furniture shopping like 1,000 times easier because they combine the super curated experience of shopping at a boutique furniture store with the ease and simplicity of shopping online. And instead of just like, oh my God, browsing page upon, sometimes you'll type in like, I'm looking for a coffee table, and you will get literally hundreds of result pages when you're on certain websites. But Article, you are not browsing aimlessly. You can shop with confidence, knowing that everything on their site is going to mix, match, and pair perfectly together because they have a team of designers that focus on just a few cohesive design aesthetics like mid-century, industrial, Scandinavian. They've got the perfect pieces for every design style.
I have legitimately ordered furniture pieces before that have delivery times as long as 6 months. That is so wild and somehow became the standard. But with Article, all in-stock pieces are delivered in less than 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And shipping is even free on all orders over $999 in the US and Canada.
Article is offering our listeners $50 off their first purchase of $100 or more. So to claim, visit article.com/chatty. The discount's going to be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/chatty to get $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more.
Broads, if you're looking to switch up your beauty and wellness routine to be a little bit cleaner, a good place to start is with the things that you use every single day. And for a lot of us, that means makeup. My favorite clean beauty brand, Thrive Cosmetics, is where it is at. I love it so much. We just have to tell you all about it. And by the way, I know you know about Thrive Cosmetics because I know Thrive Cosmetics has been all over social media lately because everyone is posting about how good the products are and doing demonstrations because you just can't believe how quality these products are.
Okay, Thrive Cosmetics, they've got no parabens, no sulfates, no phthalates, and 100% vegan and cruelty-free products. Incredible. Thrive, they take clean beauty seriously. There's no shortcuts. I am obsessed with their liquid balm lip treatment. My lips have never looked better when I use the product. It's like a leave-on little lip serum. It instantly plumps and smooths my lip, but it also leaves them glossy but not sticky. So to me, that is the perfect lip product. And, you know, even if I'm feeling like I'm a little bit of a mess otherwise, I feel like the liquid balm treatment just makes me a little more polished and a little more pulled together. I always have it in my purse, or like, I think I also have another one in my car. I'm always armed.
Yes, makeup that makes you feel instantly good with minimal effort it's just the best. But Thrive Cosmetics is even more big picture than just making you feel good. They want to help all women thrive, which is why they have created the Bigger Than Beauty campaign. For every product purchased, Thrive Cosmetics donates to help women thrive no matter what situation they are in.
Now is a really good time to try Thrive Cosmetics for yourself. And right now you can get 15% off your first order when you go to thrivecosmetics.com/chatty. That's Thrive Cosmetics. That's like a good cause is the way it's spelled. CAUSEMETICS.com/chatty. Thrivecosmetics.com/chatty. And you're going to get 15% off your first order.
Well, because when you're doing OnlyFans, you're investing in a whole fleet of subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Okay, I want to get more into the whole pregnancy aspects. A lot of people are curious about that too. But just business wise, did you put your OnlyFans on pause, or like, do you have that option on the site to be able to like pause the subscriptions, or when you weren't creating new content? Or did you batch content? How did that work
Like
throughout
when I was pregnant?
Yeah, and when you took time off, like postpartum, like did you batch content so you're releasing still new content in your OnlyFans, or did you still have just subscribers rolling over with no new content on?
So
the platform?
I would like recycle content because like if I had a scene from 2017 and you only subscribed in 2020, like there's a huge chance that you hadn't seen that scene. I did try to film as much as possible before I had the baby, but it was like pandemic, like no one was really working with each other. And I think I took like a dip, maybe my first 2 or 3 months postpartum. But then as soon as I started shooting again, it just like my fans came back kind of thing. But I think the way to do it is to just have like a good backlog of content and try to create as much as you can while you're able to, which like I'm working a bunch this month, so I could take 2 weeks to travel next month, you know?
Yeah.
And you don't actually have to have like that much content. Like if you're releasing a scene every fucking day, you're a workhorse. You're crazy.
Oh, no,
my
that's-
vagina would die.
No, I'm like, every day. I'm
And
like,
I would
oh
probably
my
start to
God.
hate it, you know?
Yeah, sure.
I shot 6 scenes last week, which is like a lot of scenes for me. But I had fun every single day. I didn't dread it. But if I did that like every single week, I would probably start to be super over it.
It's exhausting. I feel like you could get burnout easily. But that is cool because even if you hadn't created content planning for the leave, hypothetically, you could take 3 months off and not post anything and you'd lose subscribers, but you'd still have income.
Oh, yeah,
and
for
like,
sure.
that's so much freedom
Absolutely, yeah.
in your career.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't need to like figure out how long I could have my postpartum period be. I don't have to worry about going back in 6 weeks. Like,
Right.
I can do whatever I want, which is like just really nice.
So much freedom.
Yeah.
Okay, now with pregnancy, this is something people are always curious about because they're like, people get very weird about like, did she shoot content or did this person shoot content while they were pregnant? Which is really interesting. I mean,
I did.
I'm not sure. It's a strange, like, what's the implication? Like your unborn child is part of the scene. Like it's very strange, the implications of why people
read
have.
about pregnancy fetishes, and it's never about the fact that there's like a baby inside of you. From what I understand, it's like you are just like the epitome of woman.
Yeah.
You're curvier, you're fuller. Even Adam has commented to me like, oh, I love your pregnant face. It's like very youthful. Like I had more fat in my face. I was just glowing. And I feel like that is part of it. And like if someone had ever tried to buy like a custom pregnancy fetish video from me and be like, rub your belly and talk to it, like I wouldn't do it. I'd be like, this is crossing the fucking line for me. And towards the end when I was super pregnant, like I did film a couple scenes, but I literally tapped out. I was like, I cannot fucking do this anymore. I'm a big woman.
I'm tired, man. Oh my God.
But even now, like people are like, oh, you're gonna regret this after you have your baby. And I don't regret it. Like I think I will do my next pregnancy the same. Like I will probably respect myself a little more in the sense that like if I am too tired to shoot, I'm not going to push myself to shoot. But I don't feel like there's anything wrong with it.
No. Also, when people say like, oh, how do you feel about the pregnancy fetish? I mean, people fetishize all sorts of weird shit looking at your photos on. I mean, I'm sure people are jerking off to my pregnant photos on Instagram. It doesn't mean I'm not gonna post a pregnant photo. I can't control what other people do with that content.
I mean, I see it with like, oh, I can't believe you would put your daughter in a crop top. Like you're sexualizing my daughter in her crop top. That's you. That's like she's wearing a fucking butterfly tank top. Like leave her alone.
I'm not gonna let weirdos dictate how I live my life. Like I'm not gonna not go to the beach or the pool with my kid like in a swimsuit because someone might be I don't want to go about the world that way. And if that's what you want
to do as a parent, then, you know, you do your thing.
Yeah,
but
if you always think in that way, like that's a kind of a shitty way to be thinking all the time. Just like major anxieties about like just normal things.
It's exhausting, I think. So what point did you stop shooting content in your pregnancy? Or was there a point where you like definitively were like, I'm out?
I just stopped scheduling stuff, and I think that was probably like, I probably shot my last scene in like the 8th month, but I remember it was like a threesome. And something really weird happened, which maybe you guys experienced this too. All of a sudden I had a gag reflex like a month into pregnancy. I'm like, why can't I give head anymore? You know? So that was one of the more unenjoyable things.
Jesse seemed like you know.
Oh my God. It traumatized me because I like to pride myself on I love giving head and I feel like it's something I'm good at. And all of a sudden it wasn't right away for me in pregnancy. The second I started my second trimester, I remember going down on my husband and all of a sudden I was like,
your throat's closed up. Like he doesn't go anymore.
Do it. Yeah. And I was dreading. I'm like, is this who I am now? Like I was so scared it was going to last for forever.
Yeah. I've actually seen like one of the girls that I know in the industry tweet, like she got pregnant for like 8 weeks. She didn't even know she was pregnant at the time, but she figured it out because she all of a sudden had a gag reflex. So I'm like, this is not just me. It's not just you. This is something that's happening. So like, there was things about what was going on with my body that made sex less enjoyable, but I was actually really horny. I was really wet, which I could not say that for like postpartum up to a year. I was like, am I ever going to like sex again? But I feel like that has more to do with the fact that like you don't really have the energy and the space to get horny. You're just like taking care of
You're overwhelmed.
So many things.
So tired.
Yeah.
Well, that is something that I also wanted to ask about, which was, how did you navigate, one, like you said, the postpartum libido shifts? Because, I don't even think it necessarily has to do with biology sometimes. It's just circumstantial where you're like, I didn't have to worry about this shit 10 months ago. And now it's my life.
I'm covered in spit up. I'm leaking. Like, I just don't feel sexual.
So, how did you deal with that when you're like, did you feel the pressure of like, this is my job, I got to get back into this?
A little bit. Like I would try to just avoid going on Instagram because it would give me this like FOMO and like everyone's working and you're not. And so at that point in my life, I was really trying to like fix my relationship with how I use my phone because I was just noticing how much it affected me because like I do have the financial freedom where I could not work for the next year if I wanted to. So I didn't really need to be like worrying about it, but I was putting the pressure on myself. It wasn't coming from anybody else. And my fans wanted like more and more and more content from me, but I just like wasn't ready. I did start shooting like 3 months after. But like, you know, you don't feel hot. You're like, got breast milk all over yourself. Yep. And that's when I had the idea of like, okay, I really need to create like a separate space for myself where I can go and be this hot fantasy woman.
Your alter ego.
Yeah, because when I'm at home, it is the last thing that I feel like. I don't feel sexy. There's kids shit everywhere for me to view.
It's getting in your head, yes.
Yeah, and like my breasts are no longer like just something for sexual arousal. They're also like something that is feeding someone. So I get to like switch. I get to go like turn that part of myself off and then go to my other house that's my basically porn studio and like be that person and not have to worry about being a parent and then come back.
I think I need another house just for having sex.
I know.
That would be good.
A little dungeon for yourself.
Because I experienced
We're in a
that.
little studio dungeon apartment.
Yeah, even now, like I experienced that like in our own house where it is straight up like, you know, you'll be getting it on. You're like, see the children's book on your nightstand. And then you're like,
Oh no! I literally had a Lego get stuck in my ass crack last night. I was just like, I'm like, we're having sex. It's so great. And all of a sudden, I'm like, what did you do? I'm like, did you just put something in my ass? And like, it was a Lego. I'm like, well, I guess we're done.
I mean, there's got to be some little secrets that people have written about of what you can do to make your house feel sexier after kids, but their shit is just everywhere.
I know, and especially, do you co-sleep?
Not anymore, but like we co-sleep for like 2 hours of the night. She like ends up in my bed. Morning sex is just done. There is no such thing anymore.
Never
I forgot
again.
about that.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of a vacation. When you have an alone vacation, you're like, oh, morning sex exists. This is crazy.
Yeah.
But what you were saying though, when you have then that separate space where you are going to work and you're able to feel like sexy, I feel like that's just like so good in general for moms.
To be able to kind of have a separate moment.
You know, whether it be for work or just in general, to be really intentional about when you're ready to have a separate space where you can go be a little sex kitten, feel, you know, sexual in whatever way or sensual in whatever way. Just remind yourself that you're like, oh, I'm still me.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like, God, the identity stuff. You're like, who am I? What am I? Like, what selfish thing can I do for myself today? I think even if my job was like accounting, I would want a separate space. A lot of people are working from home now. It's like, if my daughter knows I'm in the house, she will not leave me alone. She will break that door down and she will come find me. Like, I could not imagine trying to work at home. Like, I would actually have to have a separate space.
Yeah.
How did you navigate like, so dealing with kind of those shifts, like with your own body, with your libido and all that, I would just imagine, like if I did adult content with Gray, was that something that was hard in your relationship? Like just stuff we've gone through in our relationship where I'm like, I'm not feeling sexy for like a couple months. Like for whatever reason, I'm feeling like an aversion to sex. I'm feeling there's a lot going on. I'm really stressed out with work. I'm really stressed out with the kids, whatever. And I'm like, for whatever reason, I don't feel like being intimate right now. How have you navigated that in your relationship when part of your guys' relationship and part of your sexual relationship is tied to like work?
Yeah, I mean, we never pushed it. And like, we had actually filmed episodes of the OnlyFans podcast we have before I even had Parker.
Oh, really?
And then after I had her, we were not ready to like work on it again for a long time, which is why it took like over a year to come out, which I'm glad because we just did everything on our own terms. Like we've never like pushed it because it would not be fun. It would ruin our relationship to just be having sex to be having sex, you know? Yeah. Even when I wanted to get pregnant, I'd be like, Adam, I'm ovulating. You have to have sex with me. He's like, you cannot talk to me like that. You're taking me out of all of it. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like he's right, you know? And so when you make it a job like that, it's just, you can't. It would ruin everything. We like enjoy doing scenes together still after all this time. And I think it's because we've always respected when the other person's not into it. Like I wouldn't push him to have sex with me if he was not in the mood and vice versa.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? So how does that work when you have scheduled like scenes with girls? How do you get yourself?
Oh, I mean, that's kind of different, I guess, because you're like, it's on the calendar versus like you're watching TV and someone comes over and tries to get on top of you. You know, it's like, and we've decided ahead of time, like, this is what we're going to do. And we're doing it like at my porn house. So mentally we're like in that space and we treat it like a real work day. So like you wouldn't call out on work. Like you go to work. Right. You said you're going to show up to work. There's the filmer. There's the other girl. You got your hair and makeup done. Like you've kind of prepared. But then we always do it in such a way where I feel like before I had a kid, I'd probably like shoot like late at night, 8, whatever. Now I'm like, gotta be done by 6. I gotta go to bedtime.
Like come in at 11 a.m.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So you said that you and Adam, like you would, before you ever started doing this, would like regularly go out and have threesomes.
Yeah.
So are you someone who gets jealous or have you just never been?
I've gotten jealous in the past for sure. I think more so in the beginning of our relationship where I was kind of like, do you really like me? Is this a real thing?
Right.
A lot of people thought our relationship was like a fake YouTube relationship, which I'm like, wait, if they think that, should I think that? And also he was kind of just like, he was like a little slut, you know, like he kind of like played hard to get with me a little bit. So when we were doing our threesomes and stuff in the beginning, I was a little bit jealous, but like never in an overt way. But I've just seen how he is with girls. Like we have fucked girls and we go to a party and I'm like, say hi to her. She's right there. He's like, who is that? I'm like, we fucked her, you know? And like, I want to call him out, but I'll tell you guys after. I won't call him out right now. But so like when I see how little the sex means to him, it's a lot easier to not be jealous, especially now. I mean, for the first time this year, I got this really bad 24-hour stomach bug and I could not go to set. And I had like kind of put the pressure on this girl because she was trying to bail when I had fully like scheduled a shoot and she was coming from Vegas. And I wake up in the morning and I'm like disgusting and puking. And I'm like, you have to go fuck her without me. Like I cannot go, but the show must go on. Like, and I said, I don't want to know how it was when you come back. I don't want to watch the scene, but I don't actually care that much because I know like, it's not like he's getting her number and like gonna, you know.
You're not gonna go grab a lunch after.
Exactly. Right. Like,
it's work.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if I could do that with any partner I've had or any partner I could have in the future, which I'm not going to have a partner in the future. We're getting married. But like, you know what I mean? Like it would be, it works with him.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it would work
specific.
with everyone. And people always ask us like, how are you guys able to have threesomes? And it's just like, he's really good at giving both of us attention in a fair way. And I'm really good at acknowledging that like, he is going to be attracted to lots of women the same way I find lots of men attractive. And it doesn't mean that I'm any less beautiful. You know, like I just like I'm aware of all those things. So I think that's why it just works.
Right. Yeah. Someone being sexy is not equivalent to you wanting to dump your person and spend the rest of your life
and start a whole new relationship. Sure.
That's a lot.
And like all the girls we work with, like it's their job. They're there because first and foremost, they want to make money.
Right. They'd probably rather not be there. They'd probably rather be just at home watching TV.
Yes, exactly.
Most of the time.
But they're doing their job, you know? Like, I've never gotten the vibe from a girl like, I'm going to steal her man, you know?
Yeah.
So,
do you have, I feel like we get questions sometimes from people who are in like long-term relationships who are like, maybe we want to try to have a threesome. Do you have any tips on someone who has never had a threesome before and is interested in
like
having one?
How to find someone to have a threesome with?
I mean, either that or even just
how to hunt them down.
But just the comfortability of like the, you know, going in with a partner that you've had for a long time. Like,
I think talking about all the boundaries beforehand is important. And I think I had like not a lot of rules in the beginning, but like more. Like I think that at one point I was like, well, don't kiss her and like no cuddling her after because like cuddling is for me. And now I'm kind of like, we do like a pre-cuddle with the girls so he can get a boner. I'm like, we're like, oh, let's all fucking cuddle. And like he kisses the girls and I don't care. But like I had to like get to that place where I had seen us be with another girl enough times where it's just so normal to me. But definitely figuring out like what would bother you, what wouldn't bother you, and all those sort of things, like what your boundaries are.
Beforehand.
You don't want to be in the middle of the scene pulling the girl off like, you're not supposed to do that.
Right. And then dealing with the backlash later of like, oh no.
Oh yeah, and I would say like, it just occurred to me, but like don't choose someone that you're like friends with or know in any capacity, because that could fuck things up for you guys in the future as friends if you do that, you know?
I listened to that sex expert podcast I was telling you about, and they give literally the exact same advice where they were like, discuss your boundaries in advance. Don't just get drunk and hook up with people because someone's gonna get butthurt and it's gonna be a thing. And also, they were like, don't fuck your friends. Yeah. Like if you want to maintain that friendship, it's best probably not to. Especially not for like your first threesome. I've been to porn parties where it's like someone's birthday and they happen to do porn, so like all the friends there also do porn and we all start fucking, but it's like you know, it's different because your friends, that's their job.
Right. There's that connection. It's not just like the random friend who you've known for forever who that's like not the industry she's in.
And then all of a sudden you can't ever talk to them again.
Right.
Do you guys still have threesomes off camera?
Honestly, I can't remember. Well, we did have a threesome off camera, but it was like with a girl that we'd already had a million threesomes with, and we all happened to be going to the same event, and we all happened to leave together. So then naturally we were just like, well, let's just fuck right now, you know?
Right.
It's so funny because like before we were kind of like, oh, this girl's hot, we should leave with her, and we all have sex. And now I'm like, where's her test? Like I'm like, I can't fuck people if I don't know what their STD test says, you know? So it definitely takes like the spontaneity out of it, but I could not imagine going back and like, everyone's disgusting and germy. They don't get tested.
Okay, along those lines though, with the spontaneity, like would you say that are you able to sort of like get yourself aroused and in the mood when you're shooting scenes, or are there some days where you're like, I was just acting, and I don't want to ruin the illusion, of course, of your content, but also like
if I'm ovulating, I'm like a freak.
Right, yeah.
I'm
So
like,
I'm into
fuck yeah,
this.
get me pregnant. And the girl's pussy is like the most delicious thing I've ever tasted in my entire life. And some days, yeah, it's just work. Like sometimes we have 2 scenes scheduled back to back, and like during the first scene, I'm trying not to fuck up my makeup, which I hate because it definitely doesn't make for a good scene. And I'm like, you know, like trying not to get my face in it. And I like love girls. I love going down on girls. Yeah. So like in those scenes, I'm like a little bit more in my head and maybe a little bit less aroused. But then the next scene, I'm like, yes, we can destroy this. Right. And it comes out a lot better. But for the most part, like I'm there and I want to be there and I'm having a good time. I don't like work with people that I don't think I would have fun with. My favorite though is working with girls who like, in their personal life, they're like, I'm a fucking lesbian. And like me and her are like, who cares if Adam shows up? You know, we're just like down for each other, you know?
Okay, so a lot of people were saying like, or I got a lot of questions of people asking like, and I would be interested to hear sort of your feedback on this, where people were like, do you really like sex that much? Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, am I broken?
Oh,
like,
hell no. Like, oh God, I have the same thing with like, I told you, I've muted a lot of girls who do sex work on Twitter, and it's because they're constantly in character, which is like, I guess good for their brand, but they're always tweeting like, just please put something in my ass right now. And I'm like, no, bitch, this is why our fans think that we're masturbating constantly.
You're
and they're
like, it's 9 a.m.
Yeah, they're like, send me a picture of you masturbating. And you're like, I'm in line at the fucking grocery store right now. Like, what do you think? I just never stop using my Hitachi? But no, I would say like in my, like I had sex 6 times last week because I happen to have 16 scheduled. But there's definitely like a week or 10 days that could go by where Adam and I like kind of just like forget to have sex with each other. But I think like on average, it's like every 3 or 4 days. Yeah. I don't think that there's anything wrong with you for sure. I think even in like my, I don't know, slutty single days, I wasn't having like that much sex. I mean, I like it enough to want to do it as a job, but I think it definitely sounds like a fucked up message of like, oh, you should be this horny all the time.
Right.
And I listened to a podcast where you were saying too, you were scared of like just painful sex too, like after having your daughter, where you were talking about like just stuff being uncomfortable and being like a little apprehensive. I thought that was really relatable.
Like, what it is, like once in a while, it'll still hurt. And I think like the scar tissue buildup from my C-section scar, like internally will pull where I'm like shimmying away from Adam. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Like, hold on, slow down. And like, I think that happened like last week. And, yeah, in the beginning, I was definitely like really scared.
Yeah. And how did you kind of like navigate being in your head about that? Like just time.
Yeah, I think just time and just like acknowledging it beforehand. Like, hey, like, you know, this is a little weird for me right now. So like, don't take it personally. Like, you know, I think at one point he was like, do I turn you on? Like, is it okay? And I'm like, yo, this is not like a you thing. This is like a me thing. I mean, I knew postpartum could be fucked up, but like, I like cried at the same time every day for a couple weeks.
Me too. Was it like when the sun was going down?
Yes. People would want to come visit the baby and I'm like, come in the morning. Do not come in the evening.
Don't come at like 6. I'll be sobbing.
Because I'm not a person at that time. And I don't want to interact with you.
It's the witching hour.
Yeah.
It was the witching hour. The kid, it was tough with the kid at that point, and I feel like your emotions are like just through the roof.
I think like my fear of having another baby is like all of those just 2 weeks, you know?
Oh my God. Rough. Like, I would literally like see this light dimming, like the sun setting, and I would be like, everything's
it's like
hopeless.
You just took Molly
like
and you're coming down.
Me straight up. Like all my serotonin has been drained from my brain. Yeah, it was way better with the second for me.
Oh, really? Did you have like really happy pregnancies? Like, were you like super hormonal?
God, well, I mean, my first pregnancy was not fucking happy at all because we fucking hated each other.
Oh, what?
Well, you know, we got pregnant 3 months into dating, and it was straight up like, and we've actually had a podcast episode about this before where we were like, we were both like, we weren't saying it, but the undertone was like, I don't want to be with you. Like, I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to, what we're doing right now. Like, I always say having a kid is a bigger commitment than getting married because, like, you're in it for life, like, with the kid. So I just felt like I don't want to be doing this with you. Like we were just casually dating, and he now says he felt the same way, where he was like, "Fuck, like we're stuck with each other." So there was so much like resentment, and also like, oh my God, his reaction when I told him like I was pregnant, and he was like really wanted me to have an abortion. I was like, nope. And so there was just a lot of resentment and a lot of like we hated each other. The second she was born, it was like we both were just like, this is incredible.
Wow.
Like, and a lot of the stress was relieved because it was like, she's here. This is amazing.
She's real. She's not just like an idea anymore.
She's a concept. We're like, we're both obsessed with her, and everything changed from there. But throughout the pregnancy, it's fucking sucked. And yeah, I was hormonal. I had horrible acne. My face was so swollen, and I just was, just like uncomfortable in my body. I was growing out a pixie cut, and I had like a mullet stage. It was just,
oh my God.
I was just not happy during that.
I feel like my pregnancy was like the best antidepressant someone could have given me. I was like, I want to feel like this all the fucking time. And like all the food stuff that I was worried about, like that would happen to me when I eventually got pregnant one day. I was like, how's my body dysmorphia going to be when I get pregnant? Yeah. But my relationship to food was like the purest it had ever been. Like before I would like buy a box of Oreos, and I couldn't keep it in the cupboard. I would literally just eat the whole fucking box. Yeah. But when I was pregnant, I'd be like, I kind of want an Oreo. And I'd like go get one, take a bite out of it, and then throw the other half away. And then it would sit there, and I would fucking forget about it for weeks. And I was like, this is what it's supposed to be like. Like this obsession that I have, always constantly thinking about like my food and my eating. Yeah. You know, it was just so pure when I was pregnant. It was very intuitive. And so I didn't really understand when people would say like they were so hungry when they were pregnant. I was just kind of like no, living my life. It was so great. And then I had her, and those first few weeks, I was like, how do people do this?
Oh yeah. No, I had a super similar experience. I'm like, I felt so blissed out when I was pregnant and I wasn't sick. The last month and a half was miserable because I was like 4 centimeters dilated for like 6 weeks.
Oh my God.
It was really bad. But the whole time I was like, I feel great mentally. Like I feel amazing. I love my body. It felt so good. And then postpartum kicked my ass.
How long did it last for you?
Postpartum, I mean, I would say probably for me, it felt like a solid 2 months. And then, because all of a sudden when she hit like 11 weeks old, I like felt like it hit me like again. Because she woke up and she had like really
bad
not
sleeping all the
she
time
had really
anymore.
she had really bad colic, so it was just like crying 24 hours a day.
And then you have the people around you who are just like, oh my God, this is so amazing. You're a mother, isn't she beautiful?
Yeah.
And you're like,
I just went in a hole. I was like, I didn't talk to anybody for like months, which wasn't probably good for my mental health, but I was like, I can't give anything to anybody. I'm like, no, it's a no.
Yeah, second was night and day for me. So just a heads up, it was like
it could be totally different.
It was like day 3. Okay, I know. By the way,
this bitch was back at work. I'm gonna turn the air on. This bitch was back at work in days.
Yeah, I think I remember you posting like you were doing
I know,
but
I probably shouldn't have been.
But with Ruth, I felt like you were back and you were being like a trooper, and I was like, "Are you sure you're okay doing this?" And you were like, "No, I got it," because you're a hard worker. You're like, "I can do it." We could tell you were exhausted.
Yeah.
With Frank,
dude,
you were like, "I'm back," and
literally.
I'm like, how do you have this much energy?
3 days postpartum, I had the double stroller, and I was on a business call with our agency, like walking down the neighborhood, just like, let's go. Granted, like 2 weeks after that, you do get like the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
And then I like hit a wall, and I had like, remember I passed like a big blood clot. My midwife was like, that's because you need to chill the fuck out and like lay down. But with him, well, okay, let's talk about your experience, because didn't you go to 43 weeks before
really
being
long.
induced?
Yeah.
Literally, you went over
I think
almost
that's part
43.
of why I had such a bad postpartum experience, was because my birth went like
not
the
how you were planning.
Opposite way of what I had expected.
Of
And
course.
I got into Grey's Anatomy like 6 months ago, but I wish that I'd watched a bunch of Grey's Anatomy before I had my C-section, because I would have known that like it's just all protocol. They're not trying to freak you out. They're just very serious, and everything has to be super hygienic. But like, you know, they tell you not to like lay down when you're pregnant in a certain way, and then they're strapping you to the C-section bed and you're laying down, and I just like everything freaked me out. But basically what happened was I was supposed to have a home birth, and I was like 42 weeks and 5 days, wasn't going into labor. I drank castor oil for a whole day, and I was like, babe, when you come home from podcasting, like we're gonna have a baby.
This.
And it just like didn't fucking happen. Instead, I like had a burning asshole, basically.
Oh my God. And nothing is more just defeating than when you're like, I know I'm having the baby tonight. And then you're like, nothing.
Drinking castor oil, sitting on the bouncing ball. You're like 42 weeks pregnant.
Just shitting yourself.
Like 5 membrane sweeps.
Oh gosh.
And then your midwife tells you that she's never had the castor oil not work for anyone.
And you're just like,
and you're like, I guess I'm never going to have this baby.
Yes, exactly, basically. And
42 and 5, like.
Yeah, and then I had to have the C-section, and then before we did the C-section, I just met this OB the day before, and I'm like telling him without telling him, I'm like, listen, I need my body, like I need it to look nice.
Don't fuck up this.
Don't fuck it up. And God, he fucked it up. Like it is so bad. I've never talked about this like publicly, but my C-section scar is atrocious. Like it needs to be cut out and re-sewn because it's like. There's like a huge dent, like my 2 scars from the outside and the inside are like pushed together. And so like, I don't take my underwear off when I shoot porn. Like that's kind of weird, right? But yeah, it was not a good experience for me. But I mean, some women, they sign up for that. That's what they want. They want the C-section. And I think if I had like went into it in that way, it wouldn't have been so bad for me.
No, you had this expectation of a totally different experience.
Yeah. Oh, I remember watching your Instagram story when you were like gonna go into labor with Frank, like doing all your stuff on the yoga ball, and then like you had him and you posted everything, and then I listened to the episode that came out right after and like how it was for you, and I was like, you know, I know that they tell you like you have your birth plan, but like you have to just kind of be able to reject it when you need to, and obviously I was never gonna put her in danger. I was gonna do that. But I really, really wanted it to go a different way.
Of course. Of course. And even that's the thing. I feel like people always say like, oh, you know, don't put expectations on it. But you can't help. I mean,
come on.
Especially with your first, I would imagine. It's like, okay, you have. What else do I know except for like these things that I'm kind of planning around to a certain extent?
Like I had watched The Business of Being Born when I was in college, like 10 years prior, and was like, that's what I want. Fucking no. And I made Adam watch it when I got pregnant, and I was like, this is what I'm doing. I was so about it. It was like one of the only things I knew I wanted. And then I'm just grateful that I was able to breastfeed, and I'm still breastfeeding because I mean, I actually know a lot of girls who had breast implants who can breastfeed, but like they try to tell you that like there's a big possibility you can't if you cut the areola.
Right.
So I feel super grateful that worked out. She latched and everything. So I got like one thing I wanted. But for the next baby, it's like...
Yeah, what's your plan? What's your mindset with that?
I'm definitely going to keep my same midwife. I didn't have her with me, COVID, all that kind of stuff. So that was another thing that sucked. But I think like I'll have to convince Adam to do the home birth because I think now he's kind of like, well, the hospital feels
just plan
safer
for it.
and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
But it's weird because it's like if I want to fix my C-section scar, it would make sense to get another C-section.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get another C-section because what if I want to have like 4 kids or 5 kids because it's not safe to have C-sections at that point.
Right.
So I think I will try for a VBAC. Which like now that I haven't actually gone into labor, I'm like so scared of it because I don't know what it's like. Like I tried to go into labor and it just never happened to me. Can my body do labor?
Is there a possibility that like, was it miscalculated? How big was she when she was...
She was 8 pounds and 3 ounces.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, like I tracked everything. We were trying to get pregnant. And so everyone was asking me those same questions as well. And I worked out a ton during my pregnancy, and my midwife was just like, we're not letting you do that towards the end of your pregnancy. She was worried that I was just like,
your pelvic floor is too tight.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You're like, it is locked down.
That's what she was a little bit worried about because it was quarantine and like there was nothing to do. I took like really long walks every single day. And so like I couldn't even use the walk as a way to encourage my labor because I was already going on mile-long walks every single day. So yeah, maybe I would do like a little bit different things in terms of working out. Like maybe I'll be trying to do more opening workouts if there's such a thing.
There is go see a pelvic floor therapist, and they'll literally do. It's funny because you do porn, but they'll literally get up. They'll get up in there, and I did it before I gave birth to Ruth, and they will straight up like finger massage the muscles inside your pelvic floor. It actually does not feel good at all because they're like, it's like. Your muscles feel sore because they're trying to like relax your pelvic floor muscles because they can be really too tight if you're exercising a lot. But yeah, so look it up because they'll do like internal massages and everything to like help. Yeah, loosen up your pelvic floor.
Who did this, or just like no?
No, I went to looked up pelvic floor physical therapist.
Okay,
yeah,
interesting.
It's really interesting, but it might.
Did you tear?
Well, I had a labial tear, but like I didn't have anything internal.
Okay.
But yeah, look into that because also the pelvic floor physical therapists specialize with like pelvic floor pain too, and like dealing with all that. So anyway,
Yeah, I'll have some questions for you when I'm pregnant again.
so look into that. I don't know. Someone was telling me that where they were just like, your pelvic floor is, I don't know. I still don't really understand what even your pelvic floor is, but they were like, go see a physical therapist for it. So I was going to say that. Like, what is the pelvic?
I'm like, what is the floor part? I know the pelvic part. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't really know. Okay, the obvious question everyone asks, how do you feel about when your kids get older and they see that their mom did porn? How will you approach that though? Like, especially when they're, young and entering into teenage years.
I think that like, maybe I think this now and I'll disagree later, but I think that by the time she's like in 5th or 6th grade, I don't want to be doing it anymore just because I feel like, I don't know, I think that she'll feel more respected. I mean, that's like a long time from now. That's like, 10 years from now? So I'll be 41. If people are still wanting to watch me do this, that's pretty great.
I'm sure they will be.
Yeah. I mean, there are, older women in the industry who are very successful, but it's not like the common story, right? The common narrative. And I don't know if I'll want to be doing it forever, but I haven't really thought about how I'll have the conversation with her. I just like know that it's not wrong. Like, I don't, I think that she will judge me on a lot more aspects of my parenting than like what I did as my career, because I'm able to spend the amount of time that I'm able to spend with her and connect with her and really know her because I have my time to myself and I'm able to go work 2 or 3 days a week for 5 or 6 hours at a time. And like the reason she's so attached to me is because I am the one taking care of her, and that's what I've always wanted. And I just don't think like her problem with me, if she has mommy issues, like I don't think it's going to be because I had sex with her dad and we filmed it. You know?
Not.
No.
Like, right?
No, and what you grow up with is normal, right? You don't know any different until someone tells you, like, and you're like, oh, your mom doesn't take videos and post on the internet of them having sex with your dad?
Yeah.
Oh, you know?
And it's like, everyone's like, oh, how would you feel if your daughter did this? And it's like, I'm worried about aspects of it, like the way that it's affected my body image maybe, or like made it worse in some ways. I would be worried about that. And I would be worried about that if she decided to do anything in front of camera.
Right.
But
I mean, you worry about that in general, right?
Yeah, in
regardless
general,
of what
right?
they're doing.
Like, it's
Even
the
if
reason
they're
I don't
not-
want her to have a phone when she's in middle school, because I know like how detrimental social media can be for middle school girls. It's like, but if she wanted to do what I do, like I would guide her in the smart way to do it and the safe way to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't, and I wouldn't like necessarily like encourage her to do it. Like I would want her to do whatever she wants. But people are always like, how would you feel about that? And it's like, what am I doing that's wrong?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. To that end, what advice would you give to someone wanting to get into making adult content? A girl who's like, I'm thinking about starting an OnlyFans. Like, what advice would you give?
I mean, it's like different advice for different things, I guess. I like, when I was going to get into it, someone approached me and was like, let me take 50% of your income.
Right.
And I would say like, definitely say no to those things. And I've heard some horror stories of girls who show up to set and they don't get paid and then they just keep shooting. Someone keeps booking them. Like, you're supposed to get paid for a scene on the day of the scene via check. Like, they
Really?
hand it to you.
Oh,
yes, they pay
wow.
everyone with a check on the day of. Some companies might ask if you want direct deposit and they might make you fill it out and do it that way. But like, you get paid the day you work. And so I've heard of
didn't
girls
know that.
who were just working and working and working. And like, they kept saying like, oh, the money's going to come, and they just never got paid and stuff.
horrible.
So like, there are definitely a million ways you can get taken advantage of in this industry. And some girls feel like, I'm speaking a little bit to like the studio side of things, which I didn't really participate in, but I know girls who did.
Right.
And, a lot of girls, I said like, I didn't feel like I could say no to such and such thing, but you can. I mean, girls feel like there's just so many girls who want to be in porn or whatever that they can't, but you can say whatever you want. And that's why you hear like girls who are like, oh, I really didn't want to do that, but I felt pressured from the producer. I wanted like everyone on set to get paid because whether the girl
Right.
finishes the scene is whether or not the filmers and everyone else gets paid too,
Yeah.
Right.
So there's that. And then for OnlyFans, it's like, if you want to get into it and you want to be successful at it, the thing that's like the way to get successful, I guess, is to have like your viral moment, which like for me, it wasn't contrived. It was like real. Me and Adam just like made a YouTube video that said we would make a sex tape if we hit 1 million subscribers, which was back in 2017, which wouldn't be a story now, I don't think. But like that got me my followers, which got me my income.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so like, and now we have this girl that we manage, and we didn't make up the story. She like actually worked at Target for 3 years. So we like filmed a silly TikTok where we like met her outside of Target, and we're like, now we turned her into an OnlyFans girl. But like that story was real and it was true. But she's like very, very successful now because of that story. And so like, I guess, I mean, there's a lot of girls contriving their stories. So if you really want to like hack it, you can contrive your story. And that's why, like, if you're on the right side of Twitter, you'll see a bunch of people being like, middle school teacher quits teaching because she gets caught doing OnlyFans behind the desk or whatever it is. You know, it's like, that might be true, but a lot of times the girls are just buying press with such and such stories so that they can get followers and get OnlyFans subscribers. But I think that's like the truest way to make yourself popular enough to have subscribers, is to have like that story, that hook.
Well, and I think what's cool about you too, though, is you have a personality, and I feel like that's thank you. And I think that that's an interesting aspect that a lot of people don't think about. Would you say like you kind of have to have a good personality to be in adult entertainment?
You don't necessarily. I feel like if you just shoot studio stuff and you're not really engaging that much, but in that sense you're playing a character, so like you don't have to have a personality. But if you're like in this new influencer age where there's like really popular porn girls who are also popular on social media, then like I think the personality really, really goes a long way. Yeah, for sure.
Because you have to be able to network too. Yeah, I feel like that's a big way that you've grown your just like OnlyFans following too, right? Is like collaborating
with people. Yeah, exactly.
So you have to be able to figure out how to get your in with people. And
yeah, I mean, I feel like girls will just work with, like, girls need girls to work with at this point. There's like, you know, I'm like, I follow just like whatever cute girl I see on Twitter that has like 20, 30, whatever thousand followers, because I'm like, okay, maybe I'll work with her one day, and then her and her. You have to like start collecting girls because there's only like so many, I guess, you know?
That's so interesting. Super fascinating. Well, thank you for joining us.
When you and Gray start your OnlyFans, you can consult me.
I know. Straight up, I'm like, damn, okay. When I have you guys start managing me in my new career venture, I'll hit you up.
For real.
But plug away what you guys, no pun intended, plug all of your stuff that you guys are doing. Because you have your cool house too.
Oh, yeah.
You can talk about that a little bit.
A house. It's called Dream Home Studios. It's on my mom page's Instagram. Lena the Mom is my Instagram, my main one that doesn't get deleted, so I'll go with that one. But yeah, I have a pretty cute studio house that people can rent on Pure Space.
Very cute.
So thank you. I worked with Danny Daisy. She's a fun designer. So yeah, follow me if you want.
Amazing.
I don't know. I don't like to like.
Oh, and talk about your podcast though. Podcast. Where can people find that?
Oh, that's on OnlyFans. So it's onlyfans.com/plugtalkshow, and it's where we interview a girl for like 30 minutes and then we have sex with her at the end, which
so fun.
So funny.
Such a fun idea. So fun.
Love it.
We're not gonna have sex after this, but
no.
Leave it up as a question mark.
You will have to pay to see it though, so sorry. No ads going in there.
Yeah. No.
But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you guys. This is fun.
And so follow Lena. I love following you on Instagram, so we're internet friends. I suggest following her too. But with that, broads, chat soon.